Hare Krishna, everyone.
हरे कृष्णा माता जी, धन्यवाद, प्रणाम माता जी।
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I'm back.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Okay, we'll get started with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. नानाशास्त्रविचारिणैकनिपनौ सद्धर्मसंस्थापकौ लोकानां हितकारिणौ त्रिभुवने मन्यौ शरण्याकरौ राधाकृष्णपदारविन्दभजना नान्देन मत्तालिकौ वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. So, we are at the verse 3 today. A quick recap of the verse 2, which we finished yesterday. Verse 2, anybody remembers? Anybody memorized? अत्याहारा प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रह जनसङ्गश्च लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्ति विनश्यति. So these are the six impediments that cause disturbance to the bhakti. The first verse was the urges, six urges, which are impediments again. And these are the six impediments, they are unfavorable things that we have, which is atyahara, overeating or over collecting anything that to do with the senses, not just eating. Prayasa is the over endeavor to get that atyahara going. Then prajalpa is mundane, unnecessary talk. Niyamagraha are two types. One is to accept the religious principles, which are lower in nature, and another is accepting, too eagerly accepting because they have some material benefit, and the other is to reject the niyamas. Whereas all niyamas are pointing to only one injunction, which is always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. If something is taking us away from that niyama, then everything else is a disturbance. Janasanga is the materialistic association. Laulyam is the greed, for intense greed to acquire the material benefits. Whereas the greed has to be only to laulyam ekamulam. Only if you can pay price to get that intense desire to do devotional service, that is glorious. But if you have greed to acquire any mundane things, then that is impediment to the bhakti. So these are the six bhakti impediments. Now we'll go to the verse 3. verse 3. The verse 3. Utsahan nishchayat dhairyat tattat karma pravartanat janasangat sat janasangat satuvritte shadbhir bhakti prasidhyati. So these are the 6 favorable things that enhances the bhakti process. What are they? The 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. Being enthusiastic. 1. Utsahan, being enthusiastic. Nishchaya, endeavoring with confidence. 3. Dhairya, which is being patient. Then acting according to the religious principles. Tat karma pravattanat, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5 is Sangatyagat. Then 6 is Sato Vritte, abandoning the association of non-devotees and following in the footsteps of the various previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. So in the last verse, we had one term which is called Janasanga, Tata Laulyam. Those are the unfavorable. And we also have here Sangatyagat. Why is it being repeated? Again, we have something repeating in the last 3 verses couple of times. One was the Atyahara itself, and then we had Udara Vegam, Jibba Vegam, which are all related to the consumption. So it was already mentioned first verse, second verse, but then that was not just for the tongue, it was for various senses that are there. And in the second verse, we had Janasanga, right? Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyamcha shadbhir bhakti vinashyati. So the Janasanga there is to give up the association of materialistic association. So that is saying it in a negative. Like you want to always remember Krishna, and the other way to say that is never forget Krishna. These are 2. It's not like always remember Krishna is to reinforce in a positive way, and never forget Krishna is to enforce that there is no other way that you can miss that injunction to always remember Krishna. Remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So in the similar way, when you were saying Janasanga and Sangatyagat, so don't associate with the worldly people, and then this is another way to say Sangatyagat, give up their association. So it's the same. So it's a reinforcement. Sato Vritte is following in the footsteps of the previous acharya. So whatever we are doing in the devotional service are by walking in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. We don't concoct anything on our own. That's why we take shelter of the 6 Goswamis. They are ones who have been empowered by Lord Chaitanya himself to propagate these religious principles throughout the world, because some things have been lost, and to propagate in the way Lord Mahaprabhu wanted it, by reading the scriptures, giving the devotional fundamentals and the highest goals, not just the highest. So this book talks about the fundamentals and going all the way to acquiring Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. So this is a positive reinforcement. So saying that we should always, and there are 3 things. One of the topics that we read in the preface, anybody remembers that we had a term called attitude. At the last conclusion section of preface, the word attitude came. Prabhupada mentioned. Anybody could find that word? You should have marked it. But anyway, this book is all about dealing with our attitude in devotional service. So the 3 terms that we have, Utsaha, Nishya, and Dhairya, are to do with the attitude, which is the mindset and the vision that we have in our mind. We need to have Utsaha, we need to be Nishchayat, and Dhairyat. Inculcate these things which is to do with the attitude of the practitioner. And Tat Karma Pravartanat are to do with the actions. They are to do with the actions of the practitioner. Today I'm actually on a tight schedule. I have to, if at all possible, 10:30 I can leave, or 10:45 at the max. And if I'm not able to conclude today, we'll continue next week and we'll also take the questions at that time. I'll try to finish everything without rushing for sure. Okay. So, yeah, again, 6 virtues to be imbibed is Utsahan, enthusiasm or eagerness, Nischayat, confidence or firm faith, Dhairyat, patience or fortitude, Tat Karma, Pravartanat, principles favorable to Bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Sangatyagat is abandoning bad association, Satovritti, following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, Shadbhir Bhakti Prasiddhiti, 6 activities assure advancement and success in Bhakti without hindrance. Okay, now the question. Why should we inculcate these? Of course, it is given in the last verse of last section. It's very obvious that we have to help this. This will help us in the advancement of the bhakti process itself. That's why we should calculate. We should inculcate. Utsaha, Nishayat, and Dhairya. So what is bhakti? What is bhakti? Prabhupada has described bhakti as devotional service. Bhakti means by meaning itself, it's devotion. But what is that? It's not just the meaning that we are. So if you give a meaning of it, is it okay? Like once you say bhakti is devotion. So what about it? It has to have convey the complete meaning of it. The complete meaning of bhakti, as Prabhupada coined this word as devotional service. Because bhakti is to do with emotion. And if you don't use your emotion in some activity, then it becomes a sentiment. So Prabhupada never encouraged sentiments. It is not sentimental speculation. Bhakti is action-oriented with devotion. So bhakti is not, so let's look at what is not bhakti. Bhakti is not sentimental speculation. It is not imaginative ecstasy, or it is idle meditation. It is not all of these. What is it? It is practical action, cultivation. Uttama Bhakti, or unalloyed devotional service unto Lord Krishna, is that which is favorable, unmotivated, and devoid of fruitive karma, impersonal jnana, and all selfish desires. This is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11. So this is the verse that keeps coming because we are all Rupanugas, following in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. So what his teaching in Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. Having all others' desires, make them as null. Shunyam is devoid. Jnana karma anadi anavritam, like devoid of jnana and karma. Any tinges to do with the jnana and karma. I want to do devotional service because I want to get some fruitive result, which is karma. Jnana is I want to do that so I get some knowledge and I can show off that knowledge, which is jnana. Or I get that knowledge so I can immerse in the Brahman. Anukulesha, which has to be favorable to devotional service. This favorability is very important. Kamsa also practiced always remembering Krishna. He could never forget Krishna, but it was in an unfavorable way. So with Krishna, even if you do something unfavorably, for example, if you do the same unfavorable remembrance of something, you won't get the positive result. But with Krishna, even if you do unfavorably something, because Krishna looks both two things. One is the action and one is the intention. Whichever is not favorable, he'll take the other one, which is favorable. Like in Kamsa's case, he took remembrance. He did not take the intention. Whereas in any other example, like Vritrasura. Vritrasura's actions were not favorable. He was fighting with the demigods on being on the side of demons. That is again Krishna's desire, but these actions itself is not favorable. He was trying to kill Indra so that he can occupy or he can favor the demons and occupy the heaven. So his actions were not favorable, but his intention was to please Krishna by this activity of fighting against the demigods. So this is what Krishna looks at. So in our case, we have to make it both conducive, actions as well as intentions. So Anukulasya Krishna Anushilam, following in the footsteps of the teachings that have been laid down by Krishna and his followers. So that is Uttam Bhakti. So anytime anyone asks you, what is the definition? What is that you are trying to follow? We are following a bhakti which is devoid of any tinges of karma and jnana, and no other than that, any other things that we are keeping it as null and devoid, and following in the footsteps of the previous teachings of the previous acharyas and in a favorable way. That is the bhakti that we are trying to follow, Uttam Bhakti. So this has to be our mood. Bhakti has to be in this way. And bhakti, and when you follow that process, it automatically, yesterday we were talking, right, that once you follow what Prabhupada's process is, like following his regimen, following his diet process, for example, then you don't have time to do any nonsensical things, because your time is occupied in all positive, favorable activities. So there's no time to even do something unfavorable. So it stops all nonsensical mundane activities, engages one in the meaningful devotional service. So the 9 processes of devotional service that we have, as enunciated by, as recommended by Prahlad Maharaj in 7th canto, 5th chapter, text 23, Shavanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. So any one or many processes of devotional service, if you can inculcate in your daily practices, that is following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas and following the bhakti process itself, because he is one of the Mahajans who has given this process, Shavanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. So that is, so we need to inculcate this attitude of Utsaha Nishchaya Dhairya so that we get bhakti. That is the principle. It's not just to be very enthusiastic for something else. Even for material things, without enthusiasm, we can't achieve. And what to speak of the spiritual things. So that is bhakti. So keeping that as the background, and what else? We need to have, we cannot follow anything on our own. It has to be in, as under the guidance of a guru. What is the verse from Bhagavad Gita?
Tadvidhi pranipatena.
Complete, yes.
Okay, tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena seveya. Jnaninas tat updeshyanti jnanam jnaninas tat darshana.
Yeah. So approach a spiritual master, render service to him, inquire from him submissively, surrender unto him. So these are the principles that we have to follow. So the guidance of a guru is very important. We don't do anything whimsically. The first step in bhakti is to approach a bona fide guru and acquire transcendental knowledge from him through oral reception, shavana, and by submissive inquiries and service. And Prabhupada never left a chance to quote this verse from Mukunda Manduka Upanishad, Tadvignadam sa gurum eva abhigachet. So it means go to the spirit guru, and to get the knowledge, go to him and render service. Without that, you cannot make any progress. And in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna very clearly mentioned in 4th chapter, 434. So Krishna, the jivas are by nature pleasure seeking, right? Anandamaya. And the material world is a place of confinement for them. So if you want to be in the pleasure seeking mode, are they devoid of the devotion, then this is the right place to be in. Not knowing the process of liberation, they wander in the universe of different species and planets. So this is a famous verse spoken by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sri Rupa Goswami when he met him, when he was teaching him. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Bhai Bhaktilata Bij. So Guru and Krishna, Guru gives the Bhaktilata Bij, the seed of devotional service. The fortunate soul may receive the seed of Bhakti Creeper by the grace of Guru and Krishna and obtain liberation. So that is so we do bhakti following those 9 processes of devotional service and under the guidance of a guru. To attain perfection in Bhakti Yoga, one has to perform devotional activities favorably under the direction of Guru in all phases of life. So that is our process. Going to Utsahan. What is Utsahan? Enthusiasm or eagerness. Enthusiasm in Bhakti means endeavor executed with intelligence and Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada didn't whimsically say one should be enthusiastic. He gave a proper definition. What is enthusiasm? Enthusiasm is endeavoring with intelligence. Means an action. Action from whom? Answer is Krishna. Krishnartha kila cheshta. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So, action is towards whom? Action is towards Krishna. It's not just whimsically. So, we endeavor with intelligence in Krishna consciousness for obtaining Krishna's favor. The following in the limbs of bhakti with great respect. So, this Utsahan is something that we have to follow the limbs of bhakti. What are the various limbs we just read? Shravanam Kirtanam. And there are many more, 64 as enunciated. These are processes, but the limbs of bhakti are 64 as enunciated by Srila Rupa Goswami, which you will come across in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So to resolutely execute the limbs of sadhana bhakti while remaining indifferent to the cultivation of jnana, karma, and attachment and material enjoyment, which is nothing but pure devotional service. So if you look at the definition of utsahan or enthusiasm itself, the very word enthusiasm comes from the very meaning of it is a divine inspiration. It is not just any inspiration, but to do with divine, which connects us to the Lord. Without utsaha, one becomes negligent in his worship. So without having this divine inspiration is towards the divine, who is Krishna, and we don't have that, then we become negligent in the worship. So negligence is born of, what are the ways in which negligence is born? Inactivity. We don't do activity enough. So we are always lazy in that. Apathy is indifference. Okay, I don't care. Carelessness. Distraction. We are too distracted with other things that we don't have any time left to be doing the worship, for which we have to be enthusiastic. So all these things are negative side. So utsaha and enthusiasm itself is towards the divine inspiration. Enthusiasm is the life of Shraddha. So without, what is that thing that carries us to the, what are the bhakti process, bhakti ladder? Anybody came across that word so far? Again, this is the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, but in your various studies, you might have come across what is the bhakti ladder. Adav Shraddha? Yes. Anybody?
Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. And
9 process or the 9 steps is a ladder for devotion to attain the highest goal. And at every step, this is the root. This is the integral part, which is Shraddha, faith. Without an enthusiasm is the life of Shraddha. So Shraddha is faith, and at every step, the Shraddha is intensifying only. So Shraddha is there in every steps. So for example, Ruchi. In the Ruchi, you would have removed all the anarthas. Anartha nivritti has happened, then only you come to Nishta, Asakti, and Ruchi, or one of, maybe interchanging one of it. But then Ruchi is the stage by which you have removed all your anarthas, right? But everything has the Shraddha which is condensing, intensifying from the beginning to the last stage. The Shraddha is the one that remains constant and intensified. So with Shraddha, enthusiasm, to get Shraddha, then we need to be enthusiastic. Enthusiasm is the life of Shraddha. Faith without enthusiasm is meaningless. Then if you have faith and we don't have enthusiasm, yeah, I have faith in the process, but I'm not enthusiastic. How useful is it? Like, I believe this process is important for us to make progress, but I don't show an enthusiasm. That means enthusiasm is intelligently endeavor. We are not doing that. So it's waste. It becomes sentiment only at that time. Faith without enthusiasm is meaningless. And Prabhupada also defines success in any field, not just spiritual, material things also we need to be enthusiastic. It requires enthusiasm. One should accept the authority to go back to Godhead and carry out the rules that enhance bhakti very enthusiastically. Without enthusiasm, one's bhakti will vanish. So success in any field, not just both material and spiritual. requires enthusiasm. Now, how to inculcate or how to develop enthusiasm? Okay, let's go from here. How to develop enthusiasm? Any points?
Ji, one general thing what I notice is the easiest way is to associate with enthusiastic devotees.
Perfect. Yeah. Associate with enthusiastic devotees. Again, they need to be endeavoring with intelligence in following Krishna consciousness. So that has to be. What is, okay, we'll also have what is not enthusiasm. So what is not enthusiasm? If someone is restless, overly active, trying to induce people into do because they are active, hyper, and they are inducing people to become hyper as them, is that enthusiasm?
No.
That's not enthusiasm. Yeah, it's becoming restlessness, out of passion, and stuff like that. So it is not enthusiasm. So enthusiasm is one may be very quietly doing very enthusiastically devotional service. It doesn't have to show off. Like I am very enthusiastic. I am like showing my energy everywhere. I am trying to display it. It is not that. So how to develop? So strong sadhana. One has to develop sadhana of hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna. And our process is laid out by Prabhupada. And we just have to follow that process very enthusiastically. When we chant, we have to show enthusiasm. Yes, I want to chant. Not just one day I want to chant 16 rounds. I want to chant 16 rounds every single day. And do deity worship. One day I will do, one day I will not do. That's not enthusiasm. So then association of devotees, which is very important. Goal, and when you show enthusiasm by following this process, when you know what is your goal and you know that is where you have to go, then your enthusiasm will increase, because our goal is not just anartha nivritti. I just want to remove all the anarthas and be satisfied there. That's not my goal. My goal is to develop nishta, asakti, ruchi, baba, and prema. So asakti, nishta, ruchi, and asakti, right? One of the other, like that, and baba and prema. So we become, once we know our goal, we increase our enthusiasm. So the goal also becomes clearer, because we may be here today, but we don't know how to go to next step. We are at the Ado Shraddha stage, and then we have to do Bhajana Kriya. So if we show enthusiasm, automatically Bhajana Kriya will come to us. And then we continue on that process and associate with the devotees. Our impediments in bhakti and anarthas will become cleared off. So only because we are showing our enthusiasm in devotional service. Then we can ask questions also. We cannot be just quiet. We can ask questions and to clarify our doubts. So that way, we can become more clear in our process and attain the goal. And we can do some service, very active service, such as distributing books. There we cannot be dull and quiet, and we need to show enthusiasm. So unless you are convinced that these books will change someone's life, then you cannot distribute books. Right? We need to be enthusiastic. Distribute books, involve in outreach activities. Also, outreach activities also, if you are not enthusiastic, you cannot do that. So do these things. How, if you want to ask questions, how to develop enthusiasm, these are some of the ways. Distribute books, involve in outreach, anything that do some service. And also study Shastra. When you study Shastra, you develop knowledge. And what is the purpose of developing knowledge? Is it to show off? Anybody? This you are all studying. What is the purpose of knowledge? By studying Shastra, you are getting knowledge. What is the purpose?
To attain Krishna or to form devotional service unto Krishna.
Yeah, that's our goal. But what is happening to us by studying Shastra?
Our faith gets stronger in that process then.
Yes, we become more convinced. Our convictions become strong so that you won't deviate. That is why it is recommended that we read Shastra. Also, when you have to, if you want to come to Madhyam Adhikari stage, you have to read Shastra so that we'll be able to differentiate, discern, as well as when you have to uphold your process, you'll be able to get that out to the people out there. Like if someone is opposing you, then you need to back up your stance by giving Shastric reference. You'll say, I like it. I am involved in this for 10 years. That's why I like it. I want to do it. That's not a convincing answer. Why? We need to quote it, back it up with a Shastra, a reference. So that's why we need to learn Shastra so that we become convinced and also make progress. And once you are convinced in your convictions, it won't stop you from developing your bhakti. So developing knowledge is very important for that reason, to become more convinced, to more become strongly situated in your faith. Then be cheerful. So someone say, I'm not enthusiastic. Just be cheerful. Prabhupada said, just do it. We have seen these slogans, just do it. What does it mean? You don't like it, still do it. If you're not interested, still do it. Because that way you're telling your mind, this is the way we have to be. If you don't like it also, sometimes, if you don't like to go to work, you still go, right? You don't like to do this one day job, then you still do, because this is, there is value in doing that. So in devotional service, we don't like to do one day, still do it. Be cheerful. And cultivating gratitude. When you become grateful for something what you're receiving, you won't stop being enthusiastic. It's very important. Be grateful for something that you're receiving. Once you're grateful, then you are enthusiastic. Then stop worrying and complaining. If you keep complaining, you're going to give 100 reasons for not doing something. It is just required one reason to do something. 100 reasons can be to not to do. One reason in enough. So stop complaining and stop worrying. So these are some of the ways. You might have your own ways. You can develop, you can share with us. Maybe on the group chat, you can add more to this list in our WhatsApp group. Please add what are the different ways to develop enthusiasm. Now, I have some questions that you can take up and come up and maybe write down your points. It might be too much to write, but still okay. Write any number of points. Think of 5 common reasons why we may not be enthusiastic in KC. What may be the remedy? Okay. How to identify if there is enthusiasm in yourself? Identify that and identify what is not enthusiasm. So you can write down in our group chat anything to do with this slide. Writing the ways in which we can develop enthusiasm. What are the reasons that is stopping you from being enthusiastic and how you can overcome it? How do you know if you are enthusiastic? And how do you know you are not? And what is not enthusiasm? Good.
Okay, shall we just a moment? I will just copy this all.
Fine. Good. I said I'm going to share the slides, but I needed
Oh,
time
okay,
to do that.
yes.
But
Yes.
not today. I won't be doing today. Please take down. Then I'll be sharing soon.
Thank you, Mataji.
Good. Okay. Moving on to Nishchaya. Nishchaya is confidence or faith in Krishna. So we can say Uschaya, we can go to the third point and come back to the second, but we'll go from the second to third. The third point in this sequence is Dhairya. Dhairya is with patience. So Utsahan and Dhairya will give us confidence, Nishchaya. So Nishchaya is confidence. Nishchaya means to have firm faith and confidence in the statements of scriptures and the Guru, whose words are fully in line with scriptures. That Bhagavad Bhakti alone is the ultimate objective of all living beings. That's the confidence we get. That activities other than bhakti such as jnana, karma, or yoga do not yield any enduring benefit but make one restless. So Nishchaya is to have the firm faith. So again, being enthusiastic, we saw, right? Conviction is what you develop. That means a firm faith, the confidence. Avishya Rakshabe Krishna. That is the verse from the surrender process. We learned from the process of surrender. What is the process of surrender? In the first class, we went through that. 6 limbs of surrender. Anybody remembers? Or knows? आनुकूल्यस्य संकल्पा प्रतिकूल्यस्य वर्जनम रक्षिष्यति इति विश्वासो गुप्तत्वे वर्णम तथा आत्मनिक्षेप कार्पण्ये षड्विता शरणागति. So these are the 6 processes of surrender. So one of the process within that is Avishya Rakshive Krishna. Krishna is my only protector. He will surely protect me. Having confidence in Krishna and devotee things and help for the successful execution of it. He will help me. So Krishna, you may say, I don't have this talent. I don't know how to do this. You know what Krishna does? Krishna will give you the intelligence. If you have the desire, Krishna will give you the intelligence how to do it. Because he wants it to be done for himself. He likes it when you do it. So then he'll give you how much ever it is required according to your conviction, according to your surrender, he'll give you that. For example, if you are cooking, some may say, I haven't cooked for, like for your example, you're cooking for Rath Yatra, or maybe not. Maybe for program, a small program home gathering. Usually cook for 1 or 2 people. But then you have to cook for 10 people. How will that come? Like you haven't put salt or the enough spices according to the taste. But then if you have the faith and if you surrender to the process, to surrender to Krishna in that process, then he will give you right intelligence to put all the spices according to it. So that's what he will give. To the extent that we surrendered and we want to do this, he will give you the intelligence. So having faith that he will help me to do that. That's Nishchaya. To execute the limbs of sadhana with confidence while remaining indifferent to the cultivation of jnana, karma. This point of being indifferent to jnana, karma and material enjoyment keeps coming because that's a Uttama Bhakti quality or Uttama Bhakti definition. So execute the limbs of sadhana bhakti with confidence while remaining indifferent to this. Okay, and Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, what does he say? In 9th chapter, he says something. He says, declare it boldly, Arjuna, my devotee will never fail, will never perish. Right? What is that verse? Kaunteya pratijani name bhaktya pranashyati. Yes, anybody? He says, that's the beginning of that verse. I remembered in the morning, I just forgot. But that is, he says, I declare it boldly, Arjuna, my devotee will never perish. Kaunteya pratijani name bhaktya pranashyati. 9th chapter, he says. So, what does it mean? So, we need to be confident that in the words of Krishna, whatever Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita, it's an injunction. He says, my devotee will not perish means devotees will not perish. What does it mean? It will mean that devotional aspect of the devotee body will perish. That is another injunction he gave in the first, second chapters, that the soul cannot be cut, but the material body will not endure. So that means the body will go, but the devotion part will remain. The soul, spirit is always eternal. So he says that. And in the 9th chapter, he says, Pratijani, declare it boldly, Arjuna, my devotee will never perish means his devotee will never, but his devotional part of the devotee will never perish. So what is the other injunction he says in Bhagavad Gita? To say that you will not remember, you will not forget this injunction. 240.
Neha Vikramanasosti.
Neha Vikramanasoste Pratyavayo na vidyate Svalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahatu bhayat. So that means you will not, you can, this will never be gone from you. Whatever you do devotional service, it can never be taken away. It's there for eternity. And that injunction. So whatever Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita is a rule book. So we should have confidence in that. Krishna says, I will be your protector. I'll carry what you lack and preserve what you have. Yoga kshemam vahameham. I do that. In material things, he does. In the spiritual things also he does. 922. So that we need to have full confidence. So this is the confidence we develop. This comes by reading Shastra, associating, again, being enthusiastic, doing devotional service, following the scriptural rules and regulation under the guidance of Guru, and having firm conviction that Krishna is my protector, he will give you this. So this is the attitude of the devotee that he should develop. Now, coming to the questions. Is having doubt same as having as no confidence in Krishna?
No.
Doubts means we need to clear our, but the point between the doubt and no confidence is, doubts, we know this is there. We have conviction in it, but I am not clear on how it is, like that. I have conviction. I know this is true, but I don't know how it is. So that is a doubt. Confidence without having no confidence means I don't believe in it at all. Even though you tell me, I won't believe it. Even though Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I'll protect you and carry what you lack and preserve what you have. Is it true? Is it really Krishna means? That is having not confidence. When Krishna says it is, and devotee Prabhupada is giving all the way, explaining how it is, then you still have doubt on that, then that is doubting. So that's not recommended. And what is called false confidence?
Hare Krishna Mataji, is it when you think you're the doer, so you think you have the ability to achieve something? So you're not thinking it's the Lord empowering you, but you think it's all from yourself.
Yes. False confidence is I can do it. It's okay, I can do it. Like we have to display this in our material dealings. Whether you know it or not, you have to say, I know it and I will do it. So that is false confidence. So I can do it, you can do it. It is because we say, it is when we say there is an impediment in here, but it is not because what impediment you're causing is just like a small piece. I can disregard that. That is false confidence. The impediment that in front of me, like overestimating of one's abilities and underestimating the situation correctly. That is false confidence. Then where does this true confidence come from?
Is it from
Uh,
Go ahead, Mataji.
Sorry, Mataji. Hare Krishna. A faith of Krishna, believing in Krishna, knowing he's the doer.
Faith in Krishna and injunctions of Krishna and Guru and Sadhu. That is, we are getting our faith from there, confidence from there. That I'm not believing this is because I want to believe it, but because this is a word spoken by the Guru and Krishna. That is why I believe it. That's a true confidence, and being faithful to Krishna's teachings is from where we get our confidence. Okay. If you have any questions, please keep them, write them down. You might forget, otherwise we'll address them next week. Coming to the Dhairya. Dhairya is patience or fortitude. Dhairya means having the patience. So, examples what Prabhupada gives very apt. We'll get to that. So, Dhairya means fortitude. Fortitude in the practice of bhakti, even in the midst of obstacles. Patiently, we need to continue. So, when we encounter obstacles, we just give up the process. That means we didn't have enough conviction in it. But we should faithfully, patiently, with fortitude, continue with the process. It's a practice of bhakti even in the midst of obstacles. Patience during the stage of sadhana bhakti, even when there is delay in attaining one's desired goals. So we've been chanting for the past so many years, say 5-6 years. I am not getting taste, or I am not again finding a spiritual master. Even if you have found a spiritual master, I'm not getting initiated. So one should have that that patience, that it will happen. You have surrendered, Krishna will make all arrangements. He'll move mountains if you have faith in the process, and if you're really surrendering to the process, he'll move mountains for you. He'll make everything conducive. Only thing is your desire. He's only looking for that, because everything else he can do. What he will not do is influence on you with his, because that free will is what you have. You have to exercise your free will. If you want, he'll move the mountains. If you don't want, otherwise Krishna can do anything, right? Like what is not possible for Krishna. So that's why we should have the faith and confidence. We should execute our process faithfully, with enthusiasm and with full confidence. Patient. Patience during the practice of stage of bhakti, even when there is delay in attaining one's desired goal. Firm conviction that the path of bhakti is the sole constitutional path for all. This is the only constitutional path. Determination to remain on the path of bhakti without slackening one's execution. We should be determined to do this, even though there may be obstacles, ups and downs. And again, we cannot be fanatics when we say this, that once in a while we slack for various reasons, health situations, other priorities, maybe. But then it shouldn't be fanatically doing things just for the sake of doing. So we should be determined. Krishna understands. Is a person with heart. So you won't penalize you for something that you haven't done for some time because of some situation. So we cannot be fanatics, but we should be very determined, very patient. Okay? And the dhairya, the person you'll inculcate dhairya, the person who possesses the quality of dhairya is dhira, sober. Dhiras, dhira, we have that dhira. The 6 Goswamis are called as the Srinivasa Acharya, who was the writer of that verse, which is we just read in the beginning, Shat Goswami Ashtakam. Srinivasa Acharya wrote that Ashtakam. He says, Dhira, Dhira. They say they are, 6 Goswamis are good to the Dhiras and Adhiras. They are very, they approach even the Dhiras and Adhiras. That is why they are famous, the 6 Goswamis. So one should be very Dhira, that is sober. Definition in Bhagavad Gita is a sober person. A sober person is not bewildered by that change. What is that verse? You, from boyhood to youth to old age to...
I think, Mataji, it's
Dehi
Bhagavad
no
Gita
Asmin?
chapter 12.
Yeah, say that again.
Go ahead, Priyanka Mataji.
Sorry, I don't know the verse correctly, but I thought it's Bhagavad Gita chapter 12. But you go ahead, Mataji, with the verse.
Is it Dehi no Asmin Yata Dehi? 2.13?
Yes. Yeah.
Dehi no Asmin Yata Dehi Kaumanu Yobvanam Jara Tata Dehantra Prapte Dhiras Tatra Namuyite.
Yes, Dhira. Dhira, a
Dhira.
sober person is not bewildered by that change. When the soul moves from boyhood to old age and passes it on to the next body. So that is a Dhira. Dhira is a person who possesses the quality of Dhairya. He is very patient and is very fortitude. He exhibits fortitude in that. So steadfastness of a devotee. A devotee processes things in life through the lens of Shastra. So some things happen, ups and downs, some obstacles. What does the devotee look? How does the devotee take this? He's very steadfast to the process. He won't say, because Krishna is giving me this obstacle, I will leave this process. In Bhagavatam 10th canto, Brahma prays to Lord Krishna as Tattenu Kampam Susimekshamano Munjana Evatmaridam Vipakam Vidbhagvapurvir Vidada Namaste Jive Tayu Mukti Pade Sadaya Bhag. So a devotee, considering all the mistakes that he has done in the previous life, thinking what reaction he's getting now is just his token, not the actual result of the things that he has done. And constantly, with his body, mind, and words, offering prayers and obeisances to the Lord, he is the one who is a rightful heir of the devotional process. We can claim it rightfully because we are the heirs or the claimants of the bhakti process. So who will become a claimant for that is when he does this. I deserve much more, but I am getting a token only. So a devotee who goes through the life's things, life lessons, yet enduring them steadfastly. And he looks everything from the Shastra Chakshu, to the lens of Shastra. So Haridas Thakur says, regardless if my body is cut into pieces and the life air exits my body, I will never abandon chanting the Harinam. This is Chaitanya Bhagavat 116-94. What happened to Haridas Thakur? He was whipped in how many marketplaces?
I think it was about 100, Mataji.
22.
22. Yeah.
22 marketplaces. He was whipped. And then every single time he was being whipped, he was only praying constantly without even thinking he's being beaten. So that is how a devotee does. So with patience, he does. One should not be impatient in bhakti, but execute Guru's instructions with patience, depending on the mercy of the Guru and Krishna for results. So we just have to be patient and beg for the mercy so that we get the results, desired results. Example, Prabhupada quoted. A newly married girl cannot expect offspring immediately after marriage. She wants an offspring, a child. A girl who got married cannot ask for it right away. She has to surrender to to her husband and then deliver a baby, which is, what is the time frame? 9 months. Minimum 9 months is when she has to wait to get a baby. As soon as she's married, she can't wait. So that is patience. So she's patiently waiting. How is a mother? You see, the mother is patiently waiting. I will get the result in the womb, from the womb. I will not hasten up. And hastening up is the most disastrous thing, right? We should exercise patience here. So example 2, Krishna conscious movement was started single-handedly, Prabhupada saying, single-handedly with no initial response, but because it was continued with patience, people gradually started participating eagerly. Okay, so that is patience. So we need to exercise patience. With enthusiasm and patience gives us confidence. Utsahan, Dhairya give us nischaya. So one should, this is the art in Krishna consciousness. This is the art one should master. How one should be enthusiastic, at the same time being patient, having full conviction in the process. How good it is, like, being enthusiastic and patience, probably they go in different ways, right? Enthusiasm means if you should display things, but patience means it's asking you to be patient. You know what patience means? Be patient, but then be enthusiastic. It's the art that one should develop in Krishna consciousness. This is important, but that's why Rupa Goswami is recommending that we do this. It's very important that we do all this. This is a mindset, this is the vision of the devotee that one should develop. Okay. Questions. What are some ways that lack confidence in the process can manifest as? How does it manifest when you are not being patient?
I think you get overwhelmed because you're trying to do too much too soon. So you're not getting that peacefulness, that peace of mind, that bhakti that comes naturally with bhakti.
Is that losing your confidence or patience?
I mean, if you want like to accelerate quickly and you're like, okay, I can do all of this very quickly, then you might end up feeling overwhelmed if you're not ready for it.
You're not showing patience, or you're
Expecting too much too soon.
yeah.
Yeah, not getting the results right away. I mean, as expected soon, like Kanika Mataji said.
Yeah, and you're following you're following, you say, I'm following, I'm not getting the results. Right? Why am I not getting? Why am I not finding my guru? Why am I not getting initiated? Like that. The lack of confidence. That is where it comes. But have you prayed enough to Prabhupada to get you the guru? Have you prayed enough to guru to give you initiation? So do that if you're on that ways. If you're thinking in that ways, then do that. Pray. Prayers will work because they are one-on-one. And you can also pray how previous acharyas have prayed. All the acharyas' bhajans are nothing but scriptures. They are highest form of scriptures, essence of all the scriptures. Like Narottam Das Goswami says, Tandera charana se bhakta sanevas, janame janame hai abhilash. What is he praying? I want to serve the lotus feet of a pure devotee in the association of devotees, like-minded, bhakta sanevas. So ask for that. Ask to be in the association of devotees and worship the lotus feet of a pure devotee. This is my janme janme hai abhilash. This is my abhilash for life after life. So that is where we have to, what are some ways and lack in confidence is how it is manifesting and what are you missing. Now, if you look at Srila Prabhupada's life itself, then you will see all these things all combined. Utsaha, Nisha, Dhairyat, from the beginning of his life. He wrote Bhagavad Gita manuscript completely when he came to US. You know what happened? Along with the manuscript and the typewriter, it was stolen. Did he lose hope? Did he lose confidence in Krishna? Was he not enthusiastic? He again wrote the whole manuscript of Bhagavad Gita. That means all the translations were lost, all the puppets were lost. So he wrote it again. He didn't think, oh my God, it happened. I did it so much for Krishna. Again, this happened. Krishna did this for me. No, he didn't. And so in India, he tried so much. India, he tried so much to establish this society of Krishna consciousness. But then it didn't work out. He tried, not much success. Then when he came to West also, nothing was offered to him in the plate. Okay, take this, run this with movement, establish, we have this money, you have this place, you have these people who are ready to do. No, he started. He did everything on his own without losing faith in Krishna's or his guru's injunctions. Because once his guru said, go preach, means with the instruction, all the ability, Krishna gives the empowerment with the instruction that he is giving us specifically. With the instruction comes the empowerment to do that. And how it will manifest? It is not revealed to us right away. It will be revealed as you surrender. Because the process of surrender is not a one-time activity. It's a time to time to time. It goes by second. It goes by day. I mean, once you come down to second, there's nothing beyond that, right? Like it is hourly, daily, yearly, life after life surrender. So this is, you can write some examples, think about it. At least I am not asking you to write them down, but let's think in your head so you can, that is Smarana. If you think about pure devotee or Krishna is one and the same, you can think how Prabhupada's activities have inspired you. We are also coming up, coming close to Janmashtami and Prabhupada Vyasa Puja. Vyasa Puja is the time when we actually write our heartfelt offerings to Prabhupada, show our gratitude. Maybe this is the time for you to think about what Prabhupada has done for each of you, each of us, and write them down and offer them to Prabhupada. If you don't have the chance to offer in front of the deity of Prabhupada in the temple, do it at your home. Okay? I would encourage all of you to write an offering to Prabhupada. How he has brought Krishna into our life and how his life has been inspiration to you. I also have to write my offering. So that also gives me some motivation to write an offering to Prabhupada. Please, all of you do. I recommend and encourage. Okay. Okay, we're at 10:30. We'll see. Till another 10 minutes, we'll go. Tat karma pravartanat. Executing the principles of devotional service enthusiastically. Means enthusiastically, faithfully, strictly follow all the principles that nourish bhakti process. Bhakti poshaka karma. So the activities that nourish our tat karma pravartanat is neglect or laxity in following them will check one's progress in bhakti. Neglect or laxity. If you don't do things properly also, it will check our progress. Prescriptions are vidhi. Hearing Shravana about Krishna and chanting Hare Krishna. These are prescriptions. Always remember Krishna is a prescription. Prohibition is nisheda. Never forget Krishna. So that is a prohibition. Don't do. The following the injunctions of chanting, remembering, hearing, following the orders of Guru is a prohibition, vidhi. And following the 4 regulative principles is a nisheda. We don't. There are some do's and there are some don'ts. So what are the don'ts? No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, and no illicit sex. So that is the prohibition. So these are the things that we have to follow. And apart from that, we have the 64 angas of bhakti. That you, like I said, will come across in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But some of the things, Prabhupada, like I said, he took the essence of all the scriptures and coined into a program and offered it to us, like morning program, evening program, at-home program, deity worship, book distribution, temples, Ratha Yatras. So these are all the essence of the scriptures is given. And if you just follow this, you're following the Tattat Karma Pravartana. For example, in the morning when you come to the temple, what do? You ring the bell if it is possible, otherwise you knock. Because that's one of the, we need to take permission before we enter. So that's at home also we do. We just knock. When you enter someone's home, what do? You knock. Similarly, you knock, you come into the temple. So that is it's a process of bhakti. Then you pay obeisances to Prabhupada's deity. That's a process of bhakti. When you are paying obeisances, are you just bowing your head down or what are you doing? We are chanting Prabhupada Pranam Mantra. Just offering obeisances will not do. We have to pray we have to offer Prabhupada Pranam Mantra every single time we go to Prabhupada. We are offering obeisances to your Guru. What are you doing? You have to offer the prayer of Guru Pranam Mantra every single time you pay obeisances. And before coming in front of Prabhupada and praying to him by offering his Pranam Mantra, you would say the Pranam Mantra of your Guru first. Guru Pranam Mantra, Prabhupada Pranam. Every single time you go. That goes without saying. That is a Anga of Bhakti. That is Tattat Karma Pravartana. There is a flower that is offered to the deity. We are given the lamp. Taking the lamp, offering it to our eyes, and that is a limb of Bhakti. Smelling the flower that has been offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, that is a limb of. So these are all the principles that we have to do. Then what else we do? Saying the prasadam prayers, because we are not just eating something randomly, we are honoring the prasadam. And we say we are honoring the prasadam, not gobbling it. So like that. So these are all the processes we need to follow. And previous acharyas, and these are all, it comes in the form of this bhajan that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said, prasadam prayers. He didn't coin it just like anything. He said we all have to follow this so we can practice. This is Krishna Prasad coming mercifully given by Krishna, Radha and Krishna. And we chant in ecstasy. So that's the Tattat Karma Pravartana, executing the principles enthusiastically, faithfully, follow all the principles and nourish Bhakti. These are the processes. They may not be directly like hearing, chanting, remembering, but they nourish our faith, doing these things, offering obeisances, chanting pranam mantras, smelling the, and various. You can quote your examples. Okay. Sangatyaga. Yeah, I don't have a lot. I will try to cover. Sangatyaga is avoiding materialistic association. Undesirable association includes the company of karmis, gyanis, yogis, non-devotees, atheists, and opposite gender, womanizers, pseudo-religionists. To enthusiastically, and this is to faithfully, enthusiastically, strictly follow all the principles that nourish Bhakti, Bhakti Poshakaka. So these are the undesirable association is to avoid Sangatyaga, which is a saying it in a different way. Janasanga and Sangatyaga, like we said in the beginning. Did I put my hand up? Sorry. So even if one has all good qualities, if one is devoid of bhakti, those very qualities transform into false. One may have good qualities. That is why when we say materialistic people, they may have all the good qualities. What is one thing that they are missing? They may have all the good, how to take care of family nicely, how to be
Surrender to Krishna.
Yeah. One thing that is missing is the bhakti. If bhakti is missed, then all the good qualities become zero. We need to keep 1 before 0 to only make it valid. Otherwise, it's a 0. So even one has all good qualities if one is devoid of bhakti. Very qualities transform into false. They may become false also. So keeping such bad association and safe distance, one should live with and adapt the ways of pure devotees and execute the principles laid down by acharyas, the 6 Goswamis. Tandera Charana say Bhakta Sanevas, like Narottam Das Thakur says this prayer. So we need to have the association of pure. And if you get chance to associate devotees, maybe you are associating at the temple, which is good. You can also take that association into your homes. And that will be more nourishing. It will take you to the next step, actually, in the relationships, in the friendships, and in the bhakti process also. So if you are able to do, we who are close by, in the near vicinity, in the neighborhood, you can do that. That's why we have these devotee communities established in places where devotees come to one place, they inhabit that place and make it as a community. One great example that we have in our movement is in Florida, where devotees have, from Prabhupada's disciples, they have occupied, I don't know how much of place that they occupy. They are all devotees' homes in one place, one locality. So they are all supporting each other, some association. Even if they are not able to go, they might have morning programs in one of their homes. And this is like proper disciples and future generations that are coming like that. So if we have a chance, we can have homes near to each other so we can associate with them. And there's a lot of support, strength, and like that we can get from this. So that, and then what happens is when you are associating with, you don't have the need to associate with any other people, because all your desires or needs are taken care. Social, spiritual, material needs are also taken care by having the close association of the devotees. Okay, Satogritte, following the previous acharyas, means to adopt the good behavior and virtuous conduct of pure devotees, in whom all good qualities reside. Renunciates devotees can buy little alms from any householder, madhukari, like a bee taking nectar from many different flowers. Householder devotees should sustain their lives in ways favorable to Vedic Varnashrama regulations. The Acharya have expertly filled every moment of time with Krishna conscious activities, bhakti, without contamination by the 3 moods. This is called Vishuddha Sattva, pure goodness, free from tinges of passion and ignorance. Examples: rise early in the morning, attend Mangalarti, read Srimad Bhagavatam, perform Kirtan, etc. So what are the Satovrittis? Prabhupada, we have just now gone through the whole thing. Satovritti is following the footsteps of the previous acharyas. So Prabhupada has given 2 examples: renunciates, because that was relevant for his devotees at that time. They were renunciates. Some of them have taken sannyas. Some of them are living in the temple. So what do? What should be their move? They should ask for madhukari from householders. And householders' responsibility is to maintain all the other 3 orders. Householder has a license to indulge in family activities. It doesn't come with a price. It comes with a responsibility that he has to maintain the other 3 ashramas. Brahmacharya, Vanapastha, and sannyas ashrams are maintained by devotees, grahasthas, because they have some liberties to do in their life, because they have a family, they have husband, wife, children. There are some liberties along with some responsibilities. And like Prabhupada has given us this process of completely filling our lives with Krishna conscious activities throughout the day. If we follow that, then we are following in the footsteps of previous acharyas automatically. Rising in the morning, attending Mangalarti, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, etc. So the last slide for the day. The glories of Bhakti Yoga, the ultimate path. Enlightenment in Bhakti is the life and soul of the living entity. It is a desired goal and supreme perfection of human life. Ultimate path is to develop Bhakti. No fall down. Devotees of Krishna will never fall down. Name Bhakta Pranashyati. That's summarizing what all we learned. Devotees will not fall down because Krishna is saying Name Bhakta Pranashyati. There will be no fall down for the devotees, even if the material body falls. No loss in bhakti. Even little advancement in bhakti can protect one from the greatest danger. 240. Neha Vikramana Ashtoste. If one gives a material engagement to do bhakti only out of sentiment and falls down after some time, there is no loss. But it is gain of executing varna and ashrama. So in Bhagavatam, Canto 1, 5th chapter, Narada Muni is instructing Vyasadeva that was a point in doing everything perfectly. And then giving up all material engagements, and sometimes some devotees may take up the process of bhakti and may give it up at some point. Still, there is no loss because 2.4 will act. Bhagavad Gita. So sometimes because of various reasons, they will give up bhakti midway. They have become brahmacharis and accepted temple life, but then they say, I cannot do, we'll leave. So then there's no loss. It's still glorious. Better than following all your regular duties very perfectly, dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. It's better than that, even if you fall down. That is what Narada Muni is trying to say. Success is guaranteed. Bhakti is so pure and perfect that once one has begun it, one is forcibly dragged to ultimate lifetime after lifetime. Like even if you are not matured at the bhakti process in this life, it will for sure be matured. You should have faith, at least if not in this lifetime, the other lifetime, next lifetime. Resume again. Although a fallen devotee may be born in a low family, his bhakti will resume at which left off. Causeless and ceaseless. Ahaituki apratihata. Save pumsam paro dharma adho bhakti ratyokchaje. Ahaituki apratihata yata yayatma suprasiddhati. The pure devotional service has to be performed in a ahaituki, mundane. Without ahaituki is causeless, and aparahita is without interruption. Causeless and ceaseless way. It has to be performed. All good qualities automatically develop in the character of the devotees. So the Lord Krishna beautifies the qualities or arranges the good qualities in the devotee's life by one who is surrendered. All the good qualities are automatically manifested in a devotee's life. We don't have to extraneously. We don't have to inculcate humility, of course, has to be inculcated. We don't have to be pleasingly talking. That comes automatically to the devotee because you are following the process. No material contamination. A devotee is not interested in material activity. Karmi, Jnani, yogis, philanthropists, nationalists cannot be called Mahatmas. They are Dvaratmas. Mahatmas, what is that verse? 9:13. Mahatmanastu mahampata daivem prakritimashata bhajanti ananya manaso yatma bhuta dimay vayam. 9:13. This is where the Mahatma words come. All the who have accepted the process of devotion service, they are under Daivi Prakriti, internal energy of Krishna, and they are called as Mahatmas. This is summarizing it, but the essence of this verse was to develop those attitudes and follow those actions. Utsaha nishya dhairya tat karma pravartanat sangatyago satavrutte shadbhir bhakti prasiddhyati. I would like to stop here for today. We will continue. Next week we can go to the questions. I'm sorry I cannot do that. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.